Yeah, Sam, there's a million directions we can go here. You can talk strategy, talk numbers. I know you prepared some things, so I'll just, kind of organically let you take it away. Like, talk about your approach to marketing. As you know, it's a big gap in the industry. Not a lot of people know how to do it. So talk about your strategy, tactics, whatever you want to go into.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't do it because they're scared, and there's a lot of bad experiences out there, and there's a lot of bad companies, and that's totally fine to feel that way. But I will encourage you that you still have to keep testing the waters consistently if you want to expect it to have a different change. There's a ton of large door knocking companies that are massively successful, and I commend them for that. That is very hard, and I'm very impressed with some of their businesses. For us, I realized very quickly in the early years is I needed to acquire people at a low cost per acquisition because I just didn't have a lot of money. So the marketing budget, I think we had like $3,000 to start with for a month. And I was terrified because if that didn't work, then there would have really kind of would have died before it started. In the early years, we just leaned on direct mail marketing because I realized it was so cheap for me to get in front of someone's home that it was about at the time, it was about 57 cents per piece of a jumbo mail card sent. And I would target very small areas of town so I can saturate. And I'd send the same mailer with different iterations 4, 5, 6 times. And the calls started just pouring in into these isolated pockets of town. Well, that was an easy way to acquire at a low cost. But as we grow and as we scaled and as we started generating more income and growth in the business, now to this day, we're in about 35 different streams of leads. The majority of the leads, if not almost all of them, are non-shared leads. So I don't believe in like Thumbtack or Home Advisor. And I know that for some people, those work tremendously well. It just doesn't fit my business model the way we design things. I'm very big on not putting all your eggs in one basket. And I apply that to everything. The reason why that is because as you will learn, like Angie's List 6 years ago used to be great. It was an excellent lead source, maybe 7 years ago. Now I wouldn't put any money on it if my life depended on it. That's the whole logic that you need to apply with your business when you're going to market and you're putting money into advertisement or marketing channels. If you're relying dependent upon one solely thing for your business to be successful, if that company that offers you that ability to market went out of business or changed, your business could be on the verge of collapse because of the dependency you relied upon with it, which is why we have so many different marketing channels, so many different advertising channels, and I can pull levers and put more money into certain areas as each one is either respectively doing better, or if one is doing worse, I can reduce those funds and I'm not stuck with just one or two main ways of how we get leads. That's like a super overview from a hot air balloon view per se. But as you start to find what works well for your market, then you can start to invest more into. The only thing you have to be aware of, and I've learned this the hard way, there is a diminishing return of essentially putting too much money into the market in a certain lead stream compared to what is actually accessible for you to receive. So at one point, pay-per-clicks was extraordinary in Houston. I think it sucks now.
Google, you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Specifically pay-per-clicks. I think it's absolute trash now in the Houston marketplace because there's 4,000 or 5,000 roofing companies. There's tons of people doing digital marketing now on PPC through Google. But back in the day, we used to dominate it, and leads were cheap. I think we averaged about $138 per lead that called in, and now you'd be lucky if it was $400. But that lead source got ruined, and our diminishing, we talk about ceilings and diminishing returns. At one point in our peak, we were spending $50,000 a month on pay-per-click leads. And we were essentially, I think it was 49% of the impression share of all of Houston and Greater Houston. 6 million people, 49% impression share. But what we realized is we went from this $20,000 budget to a $50,000 budget, and our lead flow picked up, obviously, as we scaled it, but the volume of leads that you would expect to receive for the difference of expenditure was not there, and we were essentially just driving up the price of the market, and the additional leads that we were getting were not offsetting the difference in cost. So you've got to be super aware that if you just pour money in, and you're not monitoring it closely, it's no different than just going to the fireplace and shoveling in money there as well, because you can get out of hand quickly depending on your market size and the demand depending upon the area you're in. So that is something to be super aware of.
Yeah, that's very true. We've been seeing that with Google, and I'm just time stamping this. It's June 2024. Google PPC, across the country, we have clients in 30 plus states, and it's changing a lot. We won't go into it now, but yeah, that's something where, if you're working if you're a roofing company out there, contracting company, you're working with a marketing agency and they're running the Google ads for you. What happens a lot of times, because I used to run an agency, so I can speak on this, and we don't anymore, is, leads will slow down and the agency will be like, oh, all right, well, we're just going to spend more money, right? And like they're scaling something that's broken, right? So you're just, like Sam said, you're just shoveling money into the fireplace. And that's because, a lot of agencies, like they don't give your account the proper attention that you need. They don't really know. That's just like a quick, reaction, like, oh, let's just drop more money in so we can hit that lead quota, that quantity quota. Even though those leads do come in, the quality might not be there. So how are you tracking, like, obviously the quantity, the quality? It's a big challenge.
We're pretty intricate on it. Every single lead source that we have, other than our traditional number that we've had since 73 or 74, is a white labeled number that gets tracked. And we know exactly how many calls we get from every single lead source, whether it be digital or print.
Okay.
So if I send out postcards, every postcard design we send also has a different track number, so I can know exactly the performance of that specific postcard. And we're granular and we're intentional, because if you're not tracking to that level and you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, or even $10,000 a year, those dollars that you're spending, you've got to know how you're getting a return on. Otherwise, you're blindly putting money into something and you're hoping that they'll call you. So we track on a monthly basis, a quarterly, and an annual basis, our total lead flow from each respective lead source, the cost associated that we invested into that lead source with any fees, or if there's a management fee, whatever it may be. And then we divide it by the total amount of leads that came from that lead source. And then we have an accurate cost per lead that called in. And then we can have an accurate cost per demo, because we track how many homes we go to when we actually present price or product, like a serviceable client that we can actually track. And that allows us to know exactly what we're spending, what our cost is per opportunity. And then, of course, we can reference our closing percentages to know our cost per sale, et cetera.